Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Build by Reese YouTube video. On this channel we like to build things to solve problems we have in our lives. So one thing I've noticed with driving newer cars is I really like the digital speedometer that they have, and my old car is only analog. So today we are going to be building this awesome digital speedometer for your car that you can mount somewhere and see your exact speed going down the road. Now this is version about 3 or 4 of this project. The first version I was using some crappy wires and it was a whole mess. The second version I got the right wires. I had my little OLED screen. I'll show you a little video clip of it here. Sorry about the flickering. I had my OLED screen. Things were going great. It was working. I was driving with it. Then it was a sunny day. I threw on my nice sunglasses and the polarization killed out the OLED screen so that it was basically blank. Now, I am a big fan of sunglasses. I wear them all the time when I'm driving, so this was a big issue. Now, I could have just turned the OLED sideways so that the polarity wasn't hitting the same level or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how all that works, but I decided to kind of just rebuild the whole idea using a IPS LCD screen so that I could wear my sunglasses, it would look nice, and actually look even better, because with one of these screens you can kind of put a realistic graphic on it instead of just a blocky number. So the first step of this process is to take the screen I bought and solder the header pins on it. Now when looking on Amazon, there were some screens that had the stuff pre-soldered, but the one that I really liked with the right size and kind of the square build, I could not find it with the pin soldered on. I'm notoriously very bad at soldering, so this should be interesting. Last time I tried to do this, I thought I had them soldered good and spent like 3 hours trying to debug my code and wiring and all that, and turns out that I just needed to solder a little bit better. And then when I finally got it, I realized I had soldered the pins on backwards for the case I want to put it in. They were sticking towards the screen, not away from it. So I ordered a new screen and we're going to resolder the pins the correct way, and hopefully it's a lot easier this time. Okay, so here's our little screen. I already have my soldering iron hot, so I gotta be careful there. Now last time, I don't know why, but I put in the pins this way and soldered it on the back so that the long pins were facing forward, which obviously is not good. So this time, I'm going to want to do it this way, which is a little more scary because we have this screen right there to hit. Last time I did this, I think the issue was I just didn't use enough paste on each one. I was trying to be careful not to like have them touch, but this time I'm gonna make sure to use plenty, and my thing's plenty hot. Okay, there we have it. Now actually, that went kind of well. Seems like pretty decent soldering joints. Okay, and here you have it. The board has been soldered on. Now, it went decently well. Obviously, they're not the best, but now, luckily to save me a lot of time, I have a screen that already works, so I can just plug this into those same wires and see if it turns on or if I need to redo my soldering. Okay, here's my very janky setup. As you can see, the screen is on. A little sneak peek of what it's going to look like. So now if we unplug this, here's my backwards soldered board. Time for the moment of truth. Will it actually turn on? Did I do a good enough job? Hey! First try. Oh, getting that working is a huge relief, especially on the first try. That took years off my life the last time I tried to get that working and didn't know that the soldering was the issue. So next we have our cables of how we're going to connect everything together in the car. So my solution is I'm running 2 cables. So I have this one with the 8 wires inside to run from the controller to the screen, and I have this one that has 4 cables inside to run from the controller to the GPS, so that I can keep them separate and try to keep it looking as clean as possible, because I really don't want to have cables running all over my car. Now what I did was I got a little crimp tool so that I could crimp on these female header pins onto the cables. It's kind of annoying to do. You could just solder it straight on, but I'm not very confident doing that. And also this can kind of keep things interchangeable in case your screen breaks, or if you want to upgrade your GPS module, you can basically just plug and play with everything. So I already have all of these crimped and done. It took me maybe about half hour to get all of them done. But I left one undone so I can show you on camera how to do it, so that if you're doing this at home, you have a good idea of how to get this done, because there is a little technique to it. Okay, now getting to the crimp. I got all the stuff off of Amazon. I got these little header pins or female pins that you need. I got the crimp tool. So what you want to do is, these have these little teeth on them here. So basically you want to put that in whatever slot you're using and pull it tight. It'll catch right there. So that's how you know how far you want to put it in. And then you crimp it down just a little bit to keep it in place. You then take the wire that you want to put it on, and from the other side you're just going to stick that wire into this hole, push it through until the wire part that's still covered is kind of barely through, because you want that to catch on. And you just crimp it down all the way, let it go. As you can see there, that's a perfect crimp. These little back teeth catch the wire to hold it together. What I've noticed for whatever reason with mine is that these little teeth stay out a little bit when you try to slip on the cover. So I just take my pliers and kind of pinch them together a little bit more, just a little bit. And then you can take your cover, make sure they're both facing the right way, slide it on top. When you slide it all the way in, it'll catch right there so that it stays solid and it doesn't come off. And that's how you put on these female header pins. Now, to house everything for this build, I'm going to be 3D printing all of the parts. For this one, I didn't design anything myself. I was able to find already done models on Maker World for all the parts I needed. The one thing you have to do is make sure you print in PETG or some kind of heat resistant material if it's going to be staying in your car, because if you print in just normal PLA, if it gets hot out, it might melt and kind of misform your print. So this is the little thing I have for the GPS module. As you can see, the module itself kind of just slides in the bottom, and then the ceramic antenna just sits right on top. And then what I'm going to do is just mount this next to the front left of my windshield of my car so it can get a good signal. And then this is the little enclosure I have for the screen. Basically the screen will just slip in here, this back comes off, and then I'm going to mount this up under where my speedometer is right now. So you have the 2 gauges you'll see when I show you in the video, but I'll just mount that up and it'll sit right in the middle, so it's really not blocking anything, and it's right where basically a digital speedometer would go in a car. And then to house the ESP32 microcontroller, I'm actually printing that out right now. I've had some trouble with a few prints that just didn't fit quite right, so now I'm on my 5th try. If this one doesn't work, I might have to design something myself. So when that's done, we'll be able to put everything together. I don't want to do it now because then I'll have to take it all apart and redo it with the casings on. So when that's done, we'll come back and we'll start putting everything together. All right, guys, we're back and ready to get everything connected. A few things I want to say before we get it connected. I will have all of the 3D print files along with the code I used in my GitHub that will be linked in the description. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to all the instructions. If you want to read through the instructions, it'll get you all of the 3D print files, the pin layout for the board, and basically everything that you will need. Okay, this is the little case I'm going to be using for the housing of the ESP32. It doesn't fit perfect, but it'll be good enough for what we're doing. Now, I got a little impatient while I was waiting for that thing to get done printing, so I put the screen into this enclosure. Basically, you just fit it in there. And then what I did was I put some electrical tape around the inside here just to kind of hold those on a little bit better so that they don't come off when I'm moving stuff around or hit some bumps or whatever. So hopefully that will help those stay on there a little bit better. So now with that in there and the screen in there, I took a picture before I put it in of what wires went to what, so that when I'm hooking it up I can refer to that to get the wires connected correctly. So we should just be able to get this closed up now. And just like that, we have our screen enclosed. Now for the GPS, I did the same thing. I wrapped some electrical tape around here to hold these header pins on a little bit better. And then I put this in here. I put a little piece of tape on the side of here also to hold that in place a little bit better. One thing to note that I've definitely made a mistake of is make sure that you put your wires through this little back cover before you connect everything and put the screen on, or else you'll connect the screen, put it in there, and then realize you have to take it all apart, feed them through again, and redo it. I've done that multiple times. And then make sure that you have a picture or some kind of layout of what these pins are before you put it in, because obviously you're going to be blind connecting them once you put them in. So now we can put our board in here and make sure it's nice and pushed in. Okay, so now we have our board in the enclosure. We have both of our wires here, and now we're going to get everything connected up. I'm just going to speed through that because I'm going to have to do a lot of referencing of what pin is what, along with what wire goes to what pin. Okay, I have everything wired up. I have all the correct pins in. So now it's time to plug it in and see if this thing comes on how we're expecting it to. Okay, so we need to make sure our GPS is over here so we can get a good connection. We need to have the screen so we can see it. And now I'm going to plug this in. We get light. We get our screen connected. Now what I will say is that when it first comes on, especially when there's not connected to that many satellites, it does tend to jitter around a little bit, especially on like a super cold start like this one. But as it kind of sits there for a little bit, and as our GPS finds more satellites, I'm also inside, so that's why it's not getting the best connection. But as it kind of sits there and as it finds more satellites, gets its location, what I've seen is that it is pretty good. Right now we're already connected to 8 satellites. You see that down there. We have our main speed there. And then as we go, I'll show you clips in the car. Once I get it set up, it'll go around there. So everything seems to be working how we planned. We just need to put on our lid on here and get it mounted into the car. Now, once again, this lid doesn't quite fit how I would want it to, so I'm going to have to use some kind of adhesive to get the lid to stay on a little bit better. And one last thing before we head out to the car and get all this mounted up is you're going to need something to basically stick everything to your car. What I'm going to be using is this kind of 3M thin tape. I definitely don't recommend it. It said it was for cars and everything. When I tried to do it and use it for V1, it just kept coming unstuck. It didn't hold the wires down how I wanted to. So I would recommend maybe getting wider strips or something completely different, but this is what I have, so we're going to try to make it work. I'm not going to show a ton of the actual setup and wiring in my car just because everyone's car is going to be different, but make sure you pre-measure your wire out, have an idea of where you want to run things so that when you cut your wire to use for the project, you don't have a bunch of slack or it's not too short for how you want to run it. Like I said before, you want it to look as nice as possible so you don't have wires running all over your car. Okay, we're in the car and here is a basic idea how all this is going to work. So I'm going to mount the screen right up under here. As you can see, it's not really going to block anything. I have a lot of empty space right there, so it's kind of perfect. The GPS I'm going to stick right up here so it gets a good view from the window. And then as for the ESP32, I'm going to stick it right up underneath here and basically run wires down here and up and around here and try to make it look as clean as possible. So let's start doing that and I'll show you guys when I am finished. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes or so and I have everything set up. So you can see my screen is taped up there. I got the wire going around the top, around the bottom, and down. It's kind of the best way I could do it. Got the GPS right up there with the wire coming down here, and here is what it looks like. And then I have that cable coming in for power from my radio. So overall, it's not too intrusive. I think this looks worse kind of on camera than what it really is, and it doesn't really cover anything up. So now I'm going to turn my car on and show you what it looks like. And so there we go. You can see the bottom, how many satellites I have connected, and then I'll soon get a video of when I'm driving to show you kind of what that looks like. Okay guys, here is a video of how it works. Don't worry, I'm in a completely empty parking lot. I'm not driving down the road, that's why I'm not going to go overly fast. But you can see here, oops, you can see here how fast it works. You can see how accurate it is. Here I'm going, hit that, starting the brakes. Very accurate, very responsive, honestly better than what I even thought. So there is the live demo, and now we'll head back to my room and wrap things up. Well guys, that is it for this project. It is successfully running and all mounted up in my car. This project has taken me a long time to finally get right. It started all the way back in like February with all the different versions. With trying to solder, I realized that wasn't going to work. With using the OLED, I got that working, thought I was done, and then realized that wasn't going to work. But as each iteration went on, it got better and better. And now the final version really does look like a professionally, or not a professionally done, but a standard digital speedometer that you'd see in a modern car. Now, hopefully all of my mounting stays put and in place. That's one of the other issues that I had, and maybe the one thing I would change is getting better mounting tape for what I was doing. But overall, the project turned out great. Hope you guys were following along and can build your own. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, see you later.